Welcome to the Amnok-class Corvette ship brief. This is North Korea's only stealth corvette, and it is the only strategic corvette in the world. And in this lecture, we're going to talk about what that means. This is a very rare design. It's a very unique design, and it has a shocking lack of air defense for its mission. It is designed from the keel up to operate in an offensive manner as if it will never operate in contested conditions. It will never have a near-peer opponent, which is incredible coming from a country like North Korea, where they are certainly not the largest navy or even military in their region. But they do have strong allies in both China and Russia in the region that have helped provide the systems that we will be talking about today. So this ship began construction secretly and was discovered through satellites in 2011. It wasn't until 2016 that we realized that this was something new and unique. This was not just another small offshore patrol vessel. This was an actual offensively designed corvette with a lot of systems on board for offensive operations, but certainly not defensive or air defense whatsoever. It is estimated that she's displacing about 2,000 tons, so a small in the Corvette range class. She's about 77 meters long and does have a stealth architecture design of her superstructure and hull. She shoots 2 quad launchers of the Wassel-2 long-range land and surface attack nuclear-capable cruise missile, and this is what makes her a strategic corvette. She does have the very short-range, IR-guided, infrared-guided, optically guided IGLA surface-to-air missile launcher. She has a 100mm naval gun on the bow and 2 AK-630s for point defense. So her only air defense is simply point defense. And the radar systems controlling her air defense are extremely limited. Let's talk about the guns and the weapon systems. So she has the 100mm naval gun on the bow, as you see here. There are 5 ASW rocket launchers shooting the very short range RBU rocket bomb unit 1200. 1200 is the range at which they go out in meters. So about 1200 meters, and they splash in the water to destroy submarines, divers, or torpedoes. She has 14.5mm Gatling guns. Those are relatively small and short-range guns that would be used for in-close defense, near-shore defense, in-port security, and then up-close surface warfare, kinetic warfare, along with a 100mm naval gun. After the superstructures, where you see the Wassel-2 cruise missile launchers, there's 2 quad launchers, one facing port, one facing starboard. Behind that is the sextuple SAM launcher that holds the IGLA short-range surface-to-air missile. And behind that is the AK-630 close-in weapon system, and it has 2 of those turrets on the aft end. Let's go over radars. Radars start at the very top of the mast is the radar ESM. So that is where they listen and detect other radar transmissions flying through the air overhead of the ship. Below that is, from China, the Type 362 surface search and air search radar. Very long range, very capable, powerful I-band radar. Below that is a navigation surface search radar used for operating safely in waters, detecting other ships, and simple navigation. The fire control radar below that is one of 2 drum tilt radars called the MR-104, and these are from Russia, and these are used for gun control or ballistic defense control of weapons. So this gun on the bow is likely dedicated to operating the 100mm gun on the bow, and the fire control radar MR-104 on aft is dedicated to the 2 630 point defense guns. So that tells us that it's likely that the 2 630 point defense guns are linked together to the drum tilt radar, so they would both be engaging the same target at the same time, most likely. The decoy launching system is below that. That's built into the side of the ship there, and it just launches out decoys into the water for It can be torpedo decoys. It could even be a floating decoy for cruise missiles. We're not sure. Something that I should mention right now is information that is reliable on this ship is very sparse. There's a lot of misinformation on the internet right now about this ship, and that's probably intentional from the intelligence organizations from North Korea, China, and Russia as well, to just flood the internet with so much information you don't know what's real and what's not. What we're using here is information we've learned from military expos and meetings, and also satellite imagery to determine these systems. All right, the strategic cruise missile was launched in August of 2023. This was the first live fire test of this system at sea. And at this time, before this picture was taken, which was that moment at launch, no one was sure what kind of cruise missile this was going to be. So imagine the shock when everybody in the intelligence community saw this missile emerge. This is a nuclear-capable cruise missile. It's also conventional capable as well, and is what is expected to be used if it's ever in, combat. But the fact that they can put a tactical nuclear warhead on this cruise missile changes the mission of this ship. This is a very small, fast, lightweight Corvette with nuclear capability. This is something that when it's deployed, it will have to be monitored consistently. So this is going to require close attention every time she's operating. Now, she's not expected to operate outside North Korean waters. They simply don't have the endurance and logistical support without help from countries like China to really go anywhere and do anything. But North Korea is very good at operating in their home waters and being able to project nuclear power from not just their land-based launchers, but now from their sea-based launchers, gives them resiliency to second strike and counterattack. That's really the purpose of this thing. And it's also to keep the attention of the NATO allies, or not necessarily NATO allies, but the United States, South Korea, Japan, the Philippines, Taiwan, of course, because all of these countries are within range of this nuclear capable cruise missile now. And this ship, which we believe is one of two, something else that we haven't brought up yet is that there's the possibility, there's evidence that there's two of these ships that were built in the Nampo shipyard, but because they don't identify the ships with any kind of numbers or names, as you can see here in the pictures, we're not 100% sure, because we've only seen the same ship one at a time, but there is a chance that there's a second one, and it's just very similar in appearance. All of that is intentional, by the way. So the ship was built in Nampo Shipyard. 661, we know, is what we designate the first Corvette. And like I said, there's a chance that there is a second Corvette as well, but that's unconfirmed at this time. There's the Nampo Shipyard on the coast of North Korea. It's a very active shipyard. It is the one that does probably the most work for North Korea in terms of shipbuilding for the military. North Korea does have a lot of shipyards, but a lot of them do smaller and fishing vessels. Whenever they try to do military vessels, they often struggle initially, as you would probably expect. But Nampo Shipyard has been consistently making warships and submarines for the entire time of North Korea. All right, here's the Amnok-class by the numbers. So the propulsion system, we're not sure. It's probably diesel. She displaces about 2,000 tons and is about 77 meters long. She has two quad launchers of the Wasl-2 cruise missile, and that is the whole reason for her purpose, is to move these missiles around at sea and keep everyone guessing if they have nuclear weapons or not. On the bow, they have the 100 millimeter naval gun. They have two 14.5 millimeter Gatling guns and two AK-630 close-in weapon systems aft. The sextuple launcher is a very short-range surface-to-air missile called the Igla. That is a Russian missile system. So this platform is combining Russian short-range missiles with Russian point defense, controlled by Russian Bast-tilt radars, and the Russian 100 millimeter gun on the bow. Honestly, that could be Chinese, because the Chinese got it from the Russians as well, and they have Chinese radars on board. So this is just a Russian and Chinese ship kit bashed together into a very small Corvette that has tactical nuclear capability. She has multiple RBU 1200s on the bow, used for torpedo, diver, and anti-submarine warfare. The Type 362 air and surface search radar is on the mast. That's her primary search radar. She also has a navigation radar as well. She has 2 MR-104 bass tilt fire control radars to direct the guns. She has 2 optotronic detectors for looking around in different optical spectrums. 2 navigation radars, radar ESM at the very top of the mast, and of course a decoy launching system that is probably multi-purpose, anti-torpedo, anti-cruise missile. Here's the Type 362 radar, air and surface search. This does work in the X-band. Range is greater than 42 kilometers against a 2-meter square target. And it does have over-the-horizon capability, depending on how much of the software and capability the Chinese gave North Korea. That's still not undetermined, but if it's the full system, it can go in excess of 120 kilometers with over-the-horizon search. It has a range accuracy to 60 meters, so it'll get the weapon in the vicinity at range, and then from there the weapon will have to figure it out. But like I said, this ship is not going to be doing long-range air engagements, so it doesn't need anything more accurate than what it has. This is the same radar that's on board the Luda-class destroyers and the Yonghua-class frigates in the Chinese Navy, and this radar was first displayed at Asia Dex, which is a defense expo, in 1988. Been around for a while. Very reliable system. Here's the MR-104 bass tilt or drum tilt radar system. This is the I-band radar, works in the 8 to 10 gigahertz, very close to X-band. Has a maximum range of 22 kilometers. It would need that kind of range for the 100 millimeter gun. The smaller guns that it's operating wouldn't get anywhere near that range. And this IOC'd back in the 60s, so it's been around forever. Here's the 100 millimeter naval gun on the bow. This is from, like I said, probably from China, but it's a Russian design as well. Has a muzzle velocity of 900 meters per second, range of 22 kilometers, which is the maximum range of its directing radar as well. Barrel life about 800 rounds, and it can shoot 25 rounds per minute if it's using the Chinese rounds, and looks like Russian rounds it's about 16 rounds per minute. Not sure why there's such a discrepancy between those two. It could be the weight of the shell possibly, but just know that your performance is going to vary on this gun, anything from 16 to 25 rounds per minute. And again, this gun goes all the way back to the 1960s. It's a very old but reliable system. The Russians and Chinese are not giving North Korea anything new, that's for sure. So the AK-630 close-in weapon system, this thing puts out about 5,000 rounds per minute, and they've got 2 of them back there linked to the same fire control radar, so it's probably shooting in the same direction. They carry about 2,000 rounds per magazine, but these are reloadable. And IOC'd in 1976. Very intimidating whenever you see this thing fire. It's a very high rate of fire, and it shoots a very large 30 millimeter round. Here's the Wasl anti-ship cruise missile. It's also a land attack missile. This has a range of in excess of 2,000 kilometers, which is why even people like Taiwan are concerned whenever this thing goes to sea, because they could be a target of this missile. It's very long range. It's very also harpoon-like, but it's not based on the harpoon at all. It's based on a Chinese cruise missile, again, with some Russian design influences as well. The big thing is that it's capable of carrying that nuclear warhead. So this is what's important to remember here. This is a nuclear cruise missile carrying Corvette. IOC'd in 2021. Here's the RBU-1200 anti-submarine rocket launcher. This thing lobs essentially a mortar into the water that will go down with an influence proximity detector, an impact detector, and will either detonate at a certain depth, it'll detonate on contact or proximity of something metallic like a submarine, or just down to the bottom where it just detonates. Think of it as a depth charge, but for the modern era. And they shoot these out in groups of 5, but they have multiple of these launchers on the deck there. So they could shoot groups of 5, 10, 15, however many they need. All right, the Amnok-class Corvette. This is an oddball, an odd duck of a ship, but don't underestimate it. It has a huge punch, especially with the nuclear warhead. But even without the nuclear warhead, if those cruise missiles, 8 of them in total, have conventional warheads, that is enough to do significant damage to a single ship or a land, target. 8 could probably, if surprised, overwhelm point defense of a location and then do some damage. And then, of course, if it's nuclear, that's a whole different ball game. They would not be launching, 8 nuclear weapons at one target. But a good example of how this may work is to launch all 8 at one target, and that target might be a fleet at sea, and have the last 2, or have missiles 5 and 8 in a series of 8 be nuclear. Yeah, so you have conventional, nuclear, and then that's the end of it. But if that nuclear one gets shot down, the last one in line is probably nuclear, because that's the one that's going to be their last chance to employ that tactic. But it has no point defense. If you shoot at this thing, you're probably going to hit it. Even with a torpedo, with its decoy system, modern torpedoes are very good at evading decoys right now. We're kind of in that phase of the pendulum swinging between torpedo and decoy supremacy. Unless the decoy can go out and physically disable the torpedo that's coming at it, it's probably going to be hit by the torpedo. And if you shoot more than 2 cruise missiles at this thing, it really can't do anything about it, especially if you come at it from multiple directions. It has a shocking lack of any kind of awareness. Whenever they designed this ship, it seemed like no one thought that it would ever take fire. They just wanted a platform to go to sea and carry these nuclear cruise missiles. And then everything else was secondary, including survivability. It's a very different way of designing ships than anything in Europe or the United States or even China. It's a Navy on a budget, and it really shows whenever it comes to their lack of self-defense and self-awareness. So, but because of its mission, every time it goes to sea, it's going to have something following it, whether it's a ship, an airplane, submarine, something. But it also won't deploy very far from North Korean waters. It just doesn't have the range. It's a Corvette. It's not going to hold a lot of fuel, and there's no at-sea refuel capability for this ship. So it's going to port hop around the Korean peninsula. It may go from the East Coast to the West Coast, and whenever it does that, it will be closely monitored. If it does go on any kind of deployment with China, it would have to pull in to refuel. So it's just not going to be deployed really at anything at range. But with a 2,000-kilometer nuclear-capable cruise missile, you don't need to go very far to have the effect the North Koreans clearly want to have the effect of. All right. Well, that's the Amnok-class Corvette ship brief, everybody. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and thanks for listening. See you next time.